problems are even bigger in Los Angeles.
These people have the right to go inside the building for an inspection.
The new sweatshop capital of America.
If you refuse, you'll be subject to arrest.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, I'm Roberta Baskin.
But we weren't allowed in to see just how
We
big.
could go in and follow the inspection.
No, ma'am. I've got instructions from the owner of the company. No press.
So we climbed a ladder and peeked through the chain link fence. No cheap jeans being made here. They're Calvin Klein. Thousands of them.
Sorry, I can't let you in.
Jose Millan heads California's labor office.
I don't think that Calvin Klein would like to have their name attached to goods that were made in a manufacturing facility that had these severe violations going on.
And the violations were what?
Cash payment of wages, failure to pay minimum wage, failure to pay overtime.
6 de la mañana a 6 de la tarde.
This worker told us he once put in a 48-hour week and got paid only $30. Calvin Klein doesn't deal with the factory, but through a licensing agreement, he gets money for each pair of jeans sold. We asked, but Calvin Klein wouldn't talk about it.
Does Calvin Klein, up at the top, have any responsibility for that?
Every major designer, manufacturer has a responsibility. Of course they have a responsibility.
Reicht says companies that use sweatshops put responsible manufacturers at an unfair disadvantage. They're not doing shoppers any favors either.
The consumer gets almost no bar. Let me, I want to give you this was made legally, $29. Okay. And here's the $29 tag. $27.75 would be the cost of this if all of the savings of making it in a sweatshop were passed on to you as a consumer. In other words,
$1.25.
$1.25 for what? For abusing people in the United States.
And this summer, the word abuse took on a whole new meaning.
We found people in slavery here in the United States, in Monte, California, surrounded by barbed wire. They couldn't leave. They were threatened with murder for leaving. People treated almost like animals.
This videotape, shot by a state labor investigator, was obtained by 48 Hours. Never before broadcast. It shows the actual raid on the apartment complex where some 72 Thai immigrants lived virtually as prisoners.
All right, we're coming down. We need a translator.
They were apparently smuggled in through an Asian organized crime network with the promise of legitimate work.
Sit down over there.
Then, to pay back their debt, they were forced to work 18 hours a day, every day, for years.
The infamous auntie kept all of the workers enslaved and in terror whenever she got close to them.
Stop. Don't say anything.
She terrorized them and told them that she'd beat them if they tried to escape.
The threats worked, and El Monte made money.
Here's some of the money that was located.
How much money did you confiscate?
$825,000 on site.
They were paid by the piece, and what that broke down to by the hour was somewhere between 50 cents to $1 an hour.
Civil rights lawyer Julie Sue found jobs for some of the freed workers. Now she's going to court to get the slave laborers back wages, as are the state and federal labor departments.
The sort of bad guys in all of this is not just the El Monte employers, it's also the corporations on which the garment industry is built.
So the labels 1010, Clio, Gecko, Airtime, Centerfield Menswear, High Sierra, those are some of the labels that you found at El Monte?
Right.
And those are sold in what kinds of stores?
Target, Irvin's, Montgomery Ward.
The businesses involved claim they knew nothing about the conditions at El Monte. But guess who did know? The federal government.
There was gross mishandling.
And when we come back, an exclusive interview with a federal agent who calls it a cover-up.
I think the American people deserve serious FBI, bring in the lie detectors investigation.
Recovery of the now notorious El Monte sweatshop disgraced the garment industry. Immigrants forced to work like slaves 18 hours a day. And it turns out the government knew about it.
Don't worry about tattoos. Search it.
The Immigration and Naturalization Service's lead agent on the case, Phil Bonner, says the federal government ignored its own evidence of Thai slavery for years.
It's incredible. It's despicable that the indifference.
The government has forbidden Bonner from talking about this case.
Anything to do with the El Monte case, I don't want to talk about. I really can't.
But he did agree, putting his career on the line, to speak out on what he believes is a cover-up by the agency dating all the way back to 1991. Before El Monte exploded in the headlines, did you go to your agency, the Immigration Service, with other cases involving Thai slaves in the garment industry?
Yes, I did. I was just getting information that of 5 different slave shops.
Involving how many people?
My information at that time was 200 people.
And they did what?
Well, they did nothing.
And the INS did nothing in 1992, when, according to this confidential affidavit, another agent reported dozens of Thai workers being controlled and held against their will at El Monte itself.
Anybody working must get paid at least $4.25 an hour.
It wasn't until 3 years later, when California state labor investigators moved on their own, that the sweatshop was shut down. Jose Millan.
The thing that's really surprising to me is the speed with which the INS is going to be moving to deport these workers and the lack of speed that they exhibited in trying to liberate them when they found out that they were possibly being held as slaves.
Why did it take years for the INS to take action on Thai slavery? Bonner thinks the agency was more interested in quick and easy cases.
In my experience, if there wasn't a fine involved and a fast fine, then the case was arbitrarily closed.
And there was something else. Bonner says his local supervisors didn't like the fact he's married to a Thai woman.
Well, my one supervisor called me a deviant.
For a while, he was forbidden from speaking Thai or working on Thai cases.
We've got 81 incidents.
Right.
Bonner is now suing the INS for discrimination.
75 are actually acts of discrimination.
And thinks only public attention will get his agency to change.
I think the American people deserve serious FBI, bring in the lie detectors investigation.
The INS won't talk, except to say it did nothing wrong. And the agency has said it won't review the Thai slave shop matter until after the El Monte criminal trial is over.
And when we found slave labor in California, we said to them, you must not tolerate this kind of thing.
El Monte has
Anthony Hopkins has always been very
entire garment industry. Secretary Reicht is calling on manufacturers and retailers across the country to monitor their subcontractors.
They're beginning to say, yes, we are responsible.
He wants everyone to remember El Monte.
Thank you.
Let's not think that El Monte is just a unique, one-of-a-kind circumstance. Now, it may be the worst. I hope it's the worst. I hope there are not other El Montes.
But do you think that there are other El Monte sweatshops out there?
I fear every day that there are.